Hey, Chuck here, Corner Store Card Collector, back with another video. So tonight, being Tuesday night, I wanted to go ahead and do my preview video for this 100 card 80 special that PSA had last month. I entered everything into their system toward the end of the month, I believe on the 27th of July, so they give you a month to submit it. And what I'm trying to do is kind of offset the 100 card submission that I already have up there from the 90s and newer that's already up there. It's still sitting in the arrive stage, so they must be backed up quite a bit. So I'm trying to get this one out. So I'm going to do the preview video. I'll package everything up, and then I'll wait another, I don't know, week and a half before I put it in the mail, just so it gets there just before the submission expires. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around, and I'll show you the cards that I have selected for this 100 card submission. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this preview video. Before I do so though, I did a video yesterday or the day before, part of my series called A Peek Into My Collection, and I was talking about my 1960 Topps football set. And I did say that I only had one graded PSA, or one graded card from PSA for that 1960 set. However, I do have a couple of more that I found. They were just out of order, and I found them, so I wanted to show those real quick before I go ahead and do that preview video. So the first one is this Johnny Unitas. It's in a PSA 2, not the best grade, but the eye appeal on this card is really good. Card number 1, so of course it's got probably a lot of wear and tear on it. There's probably some surface issues and maybe some border issues. Off center too. But anyways, it's in a PSA 2. I'm not really concerned about the grade. And then the second one that I have, I also have a raw version of this card in the binder. Hall of Famer John Henry Johnson, and he's in a PSA 4. Yep, so those were the two cards that I missed yesterday just because they were out of order, and I didn't realize that they weren't in where they should have been, so I missed them yesterday. So anyways, I just wanted to show those off before we get started. All right, so I have my pre-grades listed on the sides here. Like I said, I got 100 cards going in. If you look up here, I have until the 27th of August to get them up to PSA. So I'm going to get this video done today. 100 cards, I will get them boxed up, or I'm going to clean the cases a little bit more just because they've been sitting out in my room here a little bit. So I'm going to clean the cases up a little bit before I bundle them up in groups of 25. And then we'll go ahead and get those into the mail. All right, so let's go ahead and start. And I have them in earliest to newest and in sport. So I'm going to do basketball first, and then hockey. Then I'll finish, or third will be baseball, and then I'll finish up with football. All right, so the first one, this 1980 Larry Bird. Probably going to come back a 7. Hoping for an 8. Corners look good on it, just a little off-centered. So I'm hoping for an 8 on that. I also have another 1980 Bird. I'm hoping this one's going to come back an 8 also. Pretty decent card. It does have a blemish up here. I guess it's missing some ink. That might even be a 7. I'm not really even sure. Otherwise the card is in really good shape. So hoping for an 8, probably going to come back a 7. Next up is this 81 Julius Erving. Hoping for a 7 on this. As you can see, it's cut in that diamond cut. It looks to me though that there's a lot more on the left hand side of the card right up here, because these borders are really narrow. It's traditional for that card, or for this series or year. And there's not a lot on this side here. This is about the average common width of the white border. So I'm not really sure how this one's going to do, but I'm calling it a 7. Probably going to be a 6, but I'm hoping for a 7 on it. The back's clean. Centering looks pretty good. So we'll see. Next up is this 86 Chris Mullen. I'm hoping for a 7. Way off center, left and right, top and bottom just a little bit. The back is way off. So I'm hoping for a 7. Probably going to be a 6. Okay, this next one is this Isaiah Thomas. Again, hoping for a 8. I got it marked as 7, but it looks like it's got an outside chance at an 8. Back's much better. Still off-centered on the back. I know PSA doesn't put a lot of emphasis on the back of the card as much as they do on the front of the card, but they do still look at the back. And you just never know. Corners are good on it. I do have this one in a off-brand slab I've had for a while, and it's in an 8. I'm thinking about cracking that, but I want to see how this one does first. So I'm hoping for an 8, probably going to be a 7. Here's another 81. As you can see when I was talking about these borders, this one's pretty centered, pretty good. And that Julius Erving one, having a lot of white on this side of the card, doesn't leave much room on this side, so I'm not sure how that card is going to do. But this card looks pretty good. I'm hoping we're going to get an 8. Might have an outside chance at getting a 9. I've already sent a few of these in. I sent the Magic Johnson in, I sent the Larry Bird in, and they both came back 7s. And this one looks a little bit better, so I'm hoping for an 8 on that. You may hear my dog in the background barking. My wife has some company over, so my dogs just love to bark, and it's kind of irritating. I hope you guys are all right with that. Okay, this next one is this 87 Patrick Ewing. I'm calling this a straight 8 right here. Centering looks pretty decent. Top to bottom, just a tad bit off, but it might be in that 60-40 range. Same thing with the back side of the card. It does have an outside shot at a 9, but I'm pretty sure that this one's probably going to come back at 8. Next up, I have this 88 Michael Jordan. I already have this card in a PSA 9. This card is off left to right. Top and bottom looks pretty decent, but it's off left to right. It's probably going to get an 8. Back's off too. I'm hoping for at least an 8 on it. So I was initially going to send a 200 card lot in, but after watching a bunch of videos, I realized that PSA is being really picky on their grades right now, and I didn't want to send a 200 card submission in and get hammered on grades, because if you're not essentially getting 9s or higher, you're really losing on the grading fee, because it's really tough. Well, I'm not so sure about the 80s, but modern and ultra modern, if you're getting 8s on those cards, you're barely even recovering your grading fee. So I'm trying to be selective on what I send up there. Most of these are going into my PC, so I'm not really concerned about the grade, but there's some of them in here that I'm counting on to help offset the cost of this order here. Okay, so here's 2 Dennis Rodman rookies. Let me see what I got here for Dennis Rodman. Okay, so one of them I'm calling for an 8. This one right here, with an outside shot at a 9. And this one I'm calling a 7. You can see how off-centered it is left to right and top to bottom, with an outside shot at an 8. I'll flip these over. Back sides look pretty decent on them. I'll obviously keep the higher graded one and put the other one up for sale. Next up is this 88 Pippen. This one I'm calling for an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. Centering's really well on it. Back looks really good. It might have an outside shot at a 10, but this is definitely probably going to come back a 9 at minimum. Here's an 89 Scottie Pippen. Calling this an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. Backside looks pretty decent. Looks like it might be a little off center on the back. That's why I'm calling it a 9. Or that's why I think it's got an outside shot at a 9. I think this is going to probably be an 8 though. There's an 89 Jordan hoops. I'm sorry, flare. Calling this an 8. You can see how off center it is. They do grade Jordan cards really, really hard. It's off both top and bottom and side to side. It could get a 7. These late 80 flare cards, just like the OPC hockey, you got a lot of jagged edge with the cutting. Sometimes you get a favorable grader and sometimes you don't, so I'm not really sure how this one's going to work out. The last grader I got wasn't very favorable, and I thought I should have done a little bit better. I should have done a grade higher on the majority of my cards, at least 50% of them, and I sent in 100 cards. Here's an 89 Bird. Calling this an 8 with an outside chance at a 9. Backside looks pretty clean. Here's a David Robinson rookie from Hoops. Calling this an 8. Could have an outside shot at a 9. Here's a couple of Jordan 89 hoops. I'm hoping for 8s on these. Off center a little bit, but otherwise card's in great shape. Corners are really well on it. Backs are pretty centered. Well, this one's not too centered right here. This one's a little bit better. I'm calling both of those an 8. Next I got this 89 hoops Jordan All-Star card. Calling this one a 9. Everything looks pretty decent about this card, so might have an outside shot at a 10. And it could go as low as an 8, but that card's in really good shape. My last basketball card is this Scottie Pippen 89 hoops. Again, centering is really well on this one. I'm calling this a 9. The backside's off center. I think if it had a centered back, I think this would probably be a 10. Okay, I'm calling that a 9 now. All right, so next up is my group of hockey cards I'm sending in. I'll start out with this second-year Gretzky. I got this one at, we're looking at a 7. I'm calling this a straight up 7. This one's got some jagged edge cutting on this side of the card here. I don't know if they ding the card, if it's been scratched off or not. I know there's some surface damage you can create by scratching it off. I'm hoping that this card does a little bit better than a 7, but you know, the backside is really off center. Yeah, so it'd be nice to get an 8, at least an 8 on this, but probably gonna get a 7. Here's another Gretzky record breaker. I'm calling this one a 5 or a 6. Pretty rough. Corners are really soft. Centering is pretty well. Top to bottom, not so much. Yeah, probably gonna be a 5 or a 6. Next up is this Peter Stastny. I already have this one in a PSA 8, so I'm trying to upgrade by 1. I'm not sure if this card's going to get me there though. I'm calling this an 8. Backside's a little off center. Another Gretzky. Oh, I got this one at 84. This one I'm calling an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. Centering is really well on the front. Corners are really nice. I'm having a hard time seeing these cards. I was out spending my day doing my yard work. I was out cutting grass for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. Let's see what the year is on this. I have to use my magnifying glass. Yeah, it's at 81. I said it was 84, but this is 81. I actually have 2 of these. Both look pretty similar, but I'm thinking this one, I'm hoping for an 8, potentially a 9. This one's probably going to be an 8. You can see it's off center, left to right. Next up is this 84 Gretzky. I got this one as a 9. Actually an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. So I'm taking advantage of this PSA 80's special, trying to bolster my 80's collection. Here's a nice Gretzky All-Star card. I'm calling this one a 85 tops. I'm calling this a 9, straight 9. Nice centering. Good centering on the back. It's a little bit off left to right, but centering is really good on it. I don't know, it could be an 8. I'm sorry, this was 84. Yeah, 84. This is the 85 Gretzky. I just recently pulled this from a pack. I paid, I don't know, about $35, I think, maybe $45 for the pack. Trying to find the Patrick Waugh rookie and pull this Gretzky. It's in really good condition. Corners are spot on. Centering looks pretty decent. And I'm calling this one a 9. A straight 9. Here's a Steve Yzerman. I believe this is his rookie. Second year. Yeah, it's his second year card. I'm calling this an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. It's a little bit off center, left and right, and top to bottom. That's why I'm calling it an 8. Here's a pretty beat up Patrick Waugh. This is from my childhood. Well, teenage years, mid 80s. I'm calling this a 2 or a 3. It's got soft corners, edges are beat up on it. It's got some surface issues. I just want to get it in a slab. That's probably going to be a 2 or a 3. Here comes some 87 tops. For this Mario Lemieux, I'm calling this a 8 with an outside shot at a 9. It's a sticker card. Oops. I sent one of these in, I don't know, in a previous order, and it came back a 7. And I thought it was going to be an 8 or a 9. So who knows what this one's going to come back. This one looks really well. Looks really nice. Most of my cards, the process when I select them, I usually just eyeball them first to see if they're candidates. I basically look for centering. I look at the corners really quick, and then once they go to the pile to be further reviewed, I then put them under a magnifying glass, and if they meet the threshold for me to send it in based on, you know, the decade, or, you know, whether it's vintage, modern, or ultra modern, I then clean the card with a fiber cloth, and then put them in a penny sleeve, and then put them in their card protector and get them ready to go. So that's basically the process on how I select my cards and get them ready. So here's an 87 Patrick Waugh. I've done pretty well on this. I just recently opened up, well, not recently, the last couple of years I opened up two boxes of this. I'm calling this a 9. It's just a little bit top to bottom, but I think it's in that 60-40 threshold. Backside looks really good. Here's a Wayne Gretzky. I'd already sent one of these Gretzkys in. I think it came back an 8. This one will probably be an 8 too. I have it listed as an 8 with a potential chance of a 7. There's a print mark on here somewhere. I think I'm calling it a 7 maybe because there was a print mark somewhere. I can't see it on the camera. Hoping for an 8. There's an 87 Steve Yzerman. I'm calling this one a 9 with an outside shot at a 10. I did get 1 10 out of this year so far. I do have a bunch of other cards that I haven't selected to go to PSA yet. I think there's only 196 cards in this set, and I got almost, 500, 600 cards selected. I was thinking about getting the PSA graded on the entire set because it's not a very large set, and it's a nice hockey set from the mid-80s. So I'm doing some testing with the grading here, but I'm hoping this is going to be at least a 9 with an outside shot at a 10. Here is a 88 Mario Lemieux. We're looking at an 8 potential with a 9. Centering looks pretty good. Back of the card looks pretty decent. Here's another Gretzky from 89 OPG. Hoping for an 8 on this. I do have a 7 as a outside shot, but I'm hoping for an 8. Again, I thought this card had some staining on it too, in the white border somewhere. I can't see it. Hoping for an 8 on it though. Okay, my last hockey card. Actually, this one was an 88 OPG. This is an 89 Topps Brendan Shanahan. Or Brendan, I'm sorry. Yeah, Brendan Shanahan. And I'm hoping for a straight 9 on this. Card looks pretty good. All right, moving into my baseball cards that I've selected. First one is going to be this 1980 Ozzie Smith. I do have one of these already in a PSA 6. As you can see, it's off center, top to bottom. I'm looking for an 8 on this. Outside of that, card looks pretty good. It's the same set that I pulled, had a couple of extras, but I also sent in the Ricky Henderson, and that came back a 7 too. So this is probably going to be a 7, but I'm hoping for an 8. Here's an 82 Mickey Mantle. I have this one as a 8 with a potential outside shot at a 9. Got a facial signature, Mickey Mantle signature on it. Oop. It's called the Mickey Mantle Story. A couple of Cal Ripken top rookies. What do I have these guys at? I have them both as a 7 with an outside shot at an 8. Back sides are off center. Actually, this one's not in bad shape. The centering's pretty good here. This one's off left and right, and top to bottom. But anyways, I'm calling them both 7s, hoping for an outside shot at one of them to come back an 8. Here's a Flair Cal Ripken. This is a rookie card. I'm calling this one, let me see, we're looking at a 7 with a potential 8. Here's a Donruss rookie. Hoping for an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. There have been several videos that I've seen in the last, I don't know, month or so where some YouTubers are getting some pretty decent grades on these Donruss cards, so I'm hoping that I can continue that trend. Next up is this 83 Boggs rookie. Shout out to John at Wade Boggs Fan Channel. After a year and a half or so of watching his channel, I've become a Wade Boggs fan. I actually just recently picked up a bat that's got 4 inscriptions on it. I'm starting to go through my collection and find all of his cards that I have and start getting some graded. But this one I'm hoping for, what do I got him at? Hoping for an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. So we'll see how that works out. Next up is this Gwynn rookie. Hoping for an 8 on this. Backside's off center, which is notorious for this set. Actually, all the Donruss cards in the early 80s are, for the most part, off center. And then here's the Sandberg rookie. Calling this a 7 with an outside shot at an 8. Backside is really off center, top and bottom end, left to right. That's why I'm calling it a 7, but hoping for an 8 because you can see the front side from left to right is off center too. Here's a Topps rookie for Sandberg. This card is really nice. I'm calling it a 9 with an outside shot at a 10. I did see 1 or 2 of these cards come back as a 10 recently, so please let me get that grader. Ryne Sandberg is one of my all-time favorite baseball players, especially during the 80s and 90s. Actually, he's one of the baseball players that made me become a Chicago Cubs fan. Here's a Wade Boggs rookie. This one I'm looking at an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. And all of these early 80s baseball cards I pulled from vending boxes back in the day when I was building their sets. Doc Gooden rookie here. This is his 84 traded. Calling this one a 9 with an outside shot at an 8. But I'm hoping for the 9. You can see it's off just a tad bit top to bottom. Left and right looks pretty decent. Back of the card is clean and looks good. Here's a Manningly rookie. Hoping for an 8 on this one with an outside shot at a 9. Again, this was pulled out of a vending box a long time ago. Backside looks pretty clean. The centering is pretty decent on it. Second year Sandberg. I do have this at a 9 already. This one I'm calling a 9. Here's an 85 McGuire rookie. I'm just trying to upgrade my 7. I'm calling this one a 8. It's probably got an outside chance at a 7 too. It's off center, left to right, top and bottom not too bad, but you know, the corners they're not that soft, but they're not sharp either. So I don't know, I'm hoping for an outside shot at an 8 on that to upgrade my 7 that I have. Next I have these two Maddox rookies from the 87 Topps Traded. Let me flip my page here. So I'm calling both of them an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. It'd be nice to get one of them in a 9. The backs look pretty good. It's a McGuire rookie from Donruss. It's 87. This one I'm calling a 7. I've already got it in PSA system and I didn't want to go through deleting it, but when I was double screening these cards, when I was selecting 100 out of the 200 that I had, I don't know if it's raised right here on this border. It's not chipped, but it just looks like, you know how you get that bubbling when the card gets wet? That's what it looks like on here, but I can't really tell. So I don't know, I'm gonna send it in and see if it can come back with a decent grade, because the rest of the card is in really good condition. Okay, next is this Barry Bonds, Donruss rookie. I'm calling this an 8. Backside is pretty good. There's a Griffey rookie. I do have this one in a 9 already. This one's probably, I got it listed as a 9. So we'll see what that comes back as. And it's might have an outside shot at a 10. I'm not sure the top and bottom. It looks like it's off center. So it's probably gonna be a 9 with an outside shot at an 8. Because there's always something with these 80s cards. Here's a Bowman Griffey rookie. Centering looks pretty decent. I got this one listed at a 8, a straight 8. Randy Johnson rookie. What I got him at? I got this one at a 9, a solid 9 with an outside shot at a 10. Centering was real good. Back of the card, it's decent. Could be off just a tad bit. That's why I'm calling it a 9. But this has got an outside shot at a 10. It'd be nice to have this come back in a 10. Here's an 89 traded Nolan Ryan. Got this at a straight 8. Centering on the front looks good, except for the top and bottom's off just a little bit. And then the back side of the card centering is off both top and bottom and left to right. That's why I'm calling it an 8. Here's the traded Johnson. This one also has I got this as a 9 with an outside shot at a 10. This card looks pretty good. '89 Bo Jackson. This is from my Bo Jackson PC. I'm also calling this a straight 9 with an outside shot at a 10. It's kind of hard to gauge the top and bottom centering with this little flare of the name that comes down. Backside's clean, centering looks pretty good. So I'm calling that a 9 with an outside shot at a 10. Here's a Deion Sanders rookie from the 89 traded set. I got this at a 9. Backside looks good. 89 Upper Deck, Barry Bonds. Got this at a straight 9. This is a really good card right here. So the only confusing part is where the name centered, or the diamond. I'm not sure how they're measuring that from top to bottom to make it centering, whether it's the name or the bottom of the diamond there. As you'll see, I have a few other 89s coming up, and some they're just a little bit higher, maybe one's just a little bit lower. But what I understand from collectors is they really focus on this hologram diamond in the back here, whether it's centered inside the box there or not. So I'm not really spending too much time concerning myself with that. I'm calling this a 9. Here's a Nolan Ryan. Calling this a straight 8. Just an awesome photo of Nolan Ryan in a baseball uniform throwing a football. So that's pretty cool. Here's the Griffey. I do have this in an 8 already. I'm trying to upgrade. I don't know, I gotta call an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. Again, I heard it was this diamond here, this hologram here, that they really focus on this card. We will see. My last baseball card is this 89 Upper Deck Greg Maddux. And I am calling this an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. Again, the only thing that I'm not really concerned about is the centering of the diamond. You can see this one's actually off a little bit, but the front of the card looks really good. Okay, so moving on to football. I'll start out with this 1980 Terry Bradshaw. I do have this in a 9 already, so I'm just sending this up. I got it at a 7 with an outside shot at an 8. Even at an 8, it carries some value so that I can recoup some of my grading fees. Here's a PC card. This is an 82 Joe Cribbs in action card for my Bills collection. I'm calling this an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. Okay, next up I have two 83 Terry Bradshaws. Again, I already have one of these in a 9, so these are just going up to be graded for reselling purposes. This card right here, I'm not really sure how this is going to grade out. I'm calling them both, what I got them listed as. I got them both as 8s here, but this one has an arrow on it. So this was a cut line. On this side, it's got an arrow on it. Actually, I have several cards that have the cut line, or have the arrow from the cut line on it. I'm not sure if they're going to hit the card on that as an imperfection, but the card is centered really well. So I'm hoping for 8s with outside shot at 9s, but yeah, these cards are pretty good. This card right here is off center on the back a little bit, but this one's pretty decent. So we'll see how they come back, but I'm calling both straight 8s. Next up is this Gary Anderson rookie. I got him at a straight 8. Backside. Out of all the Gary Anderson cards, this is the only one that shows that he was, whoa, if you can see, he didn't play for the Bills, but they got Bills statistics on there. Next up is this Marino rookie. This one's in pretty rough shape. I'm calling this one a 5 or a 6. I do have an 8 in my collection. I also have another 5. I think I have 2 other 5s. This is just a childhood card from the mid 80s. Just sending it in to get graded. Even out of 5, there's some value in it. Here's a Henry Ellard rookie. I'm calling this an 8, a straight 8. It's actually in pretty good shape. Backside looks good. Another card from my Bills PC is this Joe Ferguson. I think this is the last year as a Buffalo Bill. He then went to Detroit. I think he played for 2 seasons there and took a vicious hit, and shortly after that retired. Back side of it's pretty good. What am I calling this one? Joe Ferguson. I'm calling this an 8. Here's a Joe Montana. Again, I have this one in an 8 already. I'm just trying to upgrade. I'm calling it an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. The centering is pretty good on it. So we'll see how that comes back. I have 2 of these Bruce Smith rookies from 86. Obviously the one on the left here is off center, left and right. Top and bottom looks good. Corners look good. This one I'm hoping for an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. Just off a little bit from top to bottom. This one I got it as a potential 8 with an outside shot at a 7. And then the back sides are pretty good. So those are my 2 Bruce Smith rookies. There's an Elway 3rd year. I have this in a PSA 8. Off a little bit top to bottom, left and right looks pretty good. That's going to be a resale card. Let's look at the back side of it. Not too shabby. Here's Reggie White's Topps rookie. He does have an 84 USFL rookie, but this is his Topps rookie. Oh, Topps made the USFL cards too, so this is his 86 rookie. I have this one in an 8 also, just trying to upgrade. I think I have this at an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. So we'll see how this one comes back. I'm hoping for a good grader. Next is this Walter Payton. I got this one at. So I have this one at an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. I do have one in my collection right now that is a PSA 6, so I'm hoping for an upgrade here. But I'm calling it an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. Here's an Andre Reed rookie. I'm calling this a straight 8. Nice card. Here's a Roger Craig. I'm calling this a PSA 9, or I'm hoping for a 9. I've done very well. I think I have 5 or 6 that came back 10s already. I opened a lot of these cards. I think I opened 5 or 6 boxes of them over the last several years. And I have a lot of them selected to go to PSA. This one I was considering trying to get, because there's only 396 cards in a set. I can maybe muster a third of that in 10s. I've been pretty successful, if not 10s, 9s. Here's a Randall Cunningham. Man, they grade this one hard. I've sent in 2 already. One came back a 6, one came back a 7. For this Randall Cunningham, I'm calling it a straight 8. Centering looks good on the front. And this comes from the same box that I got a couple of Kelly 10s. I got a Charles Haley 10. I got a Walter Payton 10. There's a couple of other I got 10s out of. So I'm hoping to do well with that. Here's a couple of Herschel Walker. I believe these are his rookie cards here outside the USFL set. And I'm calling them 9s, but they could come back 8s. And it could, maybe one of them potentially could get a 10. The centering's pretty good on this one. This one's off a little bit top to bottom. But I'm hoping that this one comes back a 9 with an outside shot at a 10. Back sides are decent. Here's a Howie Long. I'm calling this one a 9, a straight 9. with an outside shot at a 10. Here's a Leslie O'Neal. I already have this one in a 10. This one I'm calling a 9, a straight 9 with an outside shot at a 10. So we'll see how that comes back. Here's an Andre Reed 88 tops. I'm calling that a straight 9. Trying to speed the video up a little bit. I'm already sitting at 45 minutes. So here's a 88 Merino. I have this in a 10 already. This one I am, where are you at, Merino? I'm calling this an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. Off center on the back. That's why I'm calling it a 8. Here's a second year Randall. If you'd have seen in a couple of previous videos, I opened up a bunch of 80s wax to see if I can pull any good cards out of it. This was the only one that I really got that was worth grading. So here's a second year Randall Cunningham, and I am calling this a straight 9 with an outside shot at a 10. Here's a Bo Jackson rookie. I do not have one graded yet. I'm calling this for a come back a 9. It looks like it might be off center a little bit left to right, so it could be an 8. But yeah, I have 3 boxes of this that I'm going to rip through here, I don't know, over time, and try to upgrade whatever this card comes back at. I think you're getting on average 2 to 3 of them per box. Here's a Reggie White. This one I'm calling a 9, solid 9 with an outside shot at a 10. Michael Irving's rookie, 89 tops. I've already sent 2 or 3 of these in. I got one in a 10. I think one came back a 9 and one came back an 8. They may have both been 9s. But this one I'm calling an 8 with an outside shot at a 9. I'm hoping for a 9 because there's not a lot of resale value at an 8 on this card. You barely get your grading fees back. Okay, here's an 89 score rookie for Michael Irving. Calling this a 9. Here's an 89 Aikman rookie. Calling this a straight 8. Centering issues on the front. Here's another card that gets graded extremely hard. I sent in one that I swore was at least an 8, came back a 6. So I'm hoping that this one comes back higher than a 6 to upgrade my collection. This one I'm calling a 7 with an outside shot at an 8. Just being conservative, that's all. There's an 89 Pro Set Aikman. I do have this in an 8. I'm hoping for a 9 on this one. Back, a little off center on the back, that's why I'm calling it a 9. Otherwise, this card's in really good shape. Here's a Deion Sanders rookie. Again, I have this one in an 8 already. I'm just trying to upgrade. I'm calling this a 9 with an outside shot at a 10. Centering on the back looks better than the Aikman. Here is a Thurman Thomas rookie going in the PC. Well, I'm actually upgrading. I think I have this one in a 9 old slab, so I'm trying to upgrade the slab as well. So I'm calling this a 9 with an outside shot at a 10. These ones are pretty good card stock, so they're pretty durable. And then for the final card for this submission is going to be this 89 Michael Irving rookie. I already have this one in a 9, so I'm just hoping to upgrade it. I got it as a 9 with an outside shot at a 10. All right, so those are the next 100 cards I'm sending in for that PSA July special of 1980s cards. I was going to do the 60s, but I decided, you know what, I'm just going to hold off, relax a little bit. I'm going to start focusing on buying lots of cards through eBay or any other online platform, so I can start working on my 50s binders. After I got through with my 50s, I realized how much I've neglected them, so I'm going to go ahead and start focusing on that over a while. So this will be the last PSA order I send in for a while, unless PSA comes out with something I just can't say no to. All right, so with that being said, I'd like to know how you think, or what you think about the cards that I'm sending in to PSA. If you could just drop a comment down in the comment box, that would be awesome. Maybe some of you are sending in the same cards too for this 80 special. I'd like to know what you think about my selection process and what you thought about my grade predictions. All right, so with that being said, I'll see you on the next video. All right, bye.